Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome. My name's Christina and I am 22 years old. I am a language assistant currently in Madrid, Spain, and I wanted to talk in this video about kind of what it entails to be a language assistant, and if it's something that you're interested in, I'm going to talk about what my schedule is like, what I do each day, and I also wanted to give some tips for people who have never been in a classroom before and never have taught before, because in my case, I graduated with my degree in elementary education, so this whole world of teaching is super familiar for me, but I know that a lot of people could come from a completely different background and be taking a gap year to come to Spain to be a language assistant. So yeah, I just wanted to offer some advice, some tips, and kind of just talk about what I do while I'm here as a language assistant. Okay, so the first thing is to just get an idea about what your schedule is going to be like. You're probably going to be going into a classroom either 4 days a week or 5 days a week. It depends on your contract. In my case, I'm doing 30 hours a week, but some people do less, like between 16 and 20 hours, and then that's when you would have a day off. So for me, I come into my school around 9 or 10 a.m. each day. It fluctuates depending on what classrooms I'm needed in, and then I am leaving by 5 p.m. Now, this is a little bit of a different schedule because I am working in a Catholic school, and I know some people who work in public schools who go in closer to 8 or 9 a.m. earlier, and then they're able to leave around 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. So it really depends on what school you get placed at and where you're needed in the classroom. I am mainly focusing on working with primary school children, but I also do work with the infantil, which is what they call here. It's kind of like preschool, and that's 3 years old to 5 years old. So my big age group is basically elementary education, primary school, which is perfect for me. And that's what I'm going to be focusing on talking about in this video with all of my tips and everything, because there are people who will be placed at more of a middle school, high school, or even a college level, but mainly I'm focusing on my experience and all the things I can share from what I've learned in my elementary education years in college. Now, when you first start and have your first day, my school was really great. They kind of took me around on a tour of the school. I was introduced to all of the teachers, and I was even introduced to some of the kids. So that's a perfect opportunity to just start to get to know people. And on your first day, you're going to want to prepare something, some type of activity for the kids to get to know you. So do like a get to know you activity where the kids can ask you questions about yourself. You can do a presentation about where you're from, include lots and lots of pictures, because remember, you're teaching to students who don't speak English already, and especially with the young kids, they need pictures. There's a lot of great resources out online if you literally just Google get to know you activities for elementary school, and you'll find a whole bunch of things where they talk about where they're from, what their favorite things to do are, how old they are, and what their families look like, and all of that fun stuff. So that will probably take up like your first week that you're at the school. And then after that, it's going to be so important to talk to the teachers about what they expect from you and what they want you to prepare for their classes. Because remember, you're there to be the native English speaker, and you're not there to be giving the entire class, and you're not supposed to be really talking about grammar or anything like that. Your whole focus is on fun games, interactive activities, and just making the kids excited to speak English and kind of breaking them out of their shell and making them not as scared to try to speak English. So yeah, you're going to focus on a lot of interactive games, and I am going to link some websites in the description box of this video that I have found that have been super helpful for giving me ideas on activities to do. You just have to be really flexible and just kind of take the teacher's lead and help as much as you can wherever you're needed. So one thing I did want to talk about is classroom management. So classroom management is going to be really difficult because the kids don't really understand what you're saying if you're telling them, okay, I want you guys to get into groups. I want you to write sentences. I want you to draw a picture. If you just go ahead and start saying that to them, they're not going to understand what you're saying. So I recommend reviewing like the first couple days that you're in each classroom, kind of go over what does it mean when I say, I need you to read, I need you to get into a group, I want you to work on your own. You need to review those, make sure the kids really understand what you're saying, because if not, it's going to be a mess whenever you try to do an activity because they're not even going to understand the instructions. And this is also a place when you could ask the teacher that's in the classroom to translate the directions from English to Spanish so that the students really understand, because it's so important that you have good classroom management. And one thing that has really helped me to grab the student's attention without exerting a lot of energy on my part. I learned this from one of my teachers there. In order to get their attention, and also it's a good review, is you can kind of say, okay, touch your head, touch your shoulders, and the kids all have to do that, but you say it quietly, so only some of them catch on, and then the rest of them eventually catch on. And then you can say, touch your eyes, touch your mouth, close your mouth, and listen to me, and sit down. So I really, really like that strategy, because it's not like you're trying to yell at the whole classroom. You're saying it at a normal speaking volume, and students just start to pick up on it, and then they always know that when you start doing it, that's you grabbing their attention. And I also really like it for the younger kids because, like I said, it can review the parts of the body, and it's more of an interactive way, and they're moving their body to get their attention. So I really, really like that one, and highly recommend using that one. Another really important thing when you're in the classroom is getting to know the students. And this can be tricky because they don't speak the same language as you, and they don't understand a lot of what you're saying. And so I would recommend kind of trying to follow and keep in mind what they've already learned. So let's say you're in a second grade classroom and they've just gone over what they like to do in their free time. This is a perfect opportunity to, while the students are working or while there's some downtime and they're not really doing anything, kind of go around the classroom and start talking to some students. And you'll notice that other students will join in, the ones that understand more, and you can kind of start having a conversation with those students. So it's just really important to make sure that you're talking to each student and not just sitting in the back of the classroom. That's the biggest thing that I've heard about like teachers complaining about, is that you'll have a language assistant, so somebody like me, who would go in and kind of just sit in the back of the classroom and watch the lesson being given and only chime in a couple of times to say maybe correct pronunciation or something. So you want to, while the students are individually working, go around and make sure that you're helping all the students that need help, students that may have questions, that don't understand what they're doing. And that's something that you're going to have to notice, because a lot of the students will just sit there and not do their work, but not raise their hand, not ask for help. So it's something that you will have to pick up on. Another thing is that in a lot of the classroom, all the students can be at different levels. So this is something that we really focused on in my education, like learning how to differentiate instruction, which is basically making the instruction applicable for all students and attainable for all students, and maybe having to have some more difficult parts of the lesson for students who are more advanced, but also making sure that your lesson is good for students who are maybe a little bit behind. So I, for example, have a 4th grade classroom where we have 3 students who are below grade level. And so something that I do during that class a lot of the time is that I will just sit next to that student and just be focusing on what they're working on. So for example, I could have a student who's at a 2nd grade level in a 4th grade classroom. So they have a completely different English textbook than the 4th grade classroom, and they don't even ever do the work that the 4th grade whole classroom is doing. So whenever I'm in those classrooms, my whole job is to focus on those students who need the extra instructional support to be moved up to their grade level. So that's probably something that you'll find that you'll have to do when you're a language assistant. Okay, now another thing I wanted to mention is that it might be difficult to balance all the different grade levels that you're working on and working with, and staying organized in that sense and planning lessons for such a wide range of students. So what I would recommend is at the beginning of each week, make sure that you've, like I said, talked to the teachers the week before, ask them what they want you to prepare, make note of that, and then the week, like the Sunday before you go into work, or if you have any time, any downtime at any other point at the school, you might have a break when you can work on lesson planning. I would recommend sitting down and getting yourself organized and having, okay, so for my kindergarten class this week, I need to prepare this, and kind of having like an ongoing list of the things that you need to prepare, just so that you can be better organized and not show up to the classroom and have no idea what's going on. Because that's also something that the teachers aren't going to enjoy. If you show up and you're like, oh, what are we doing today? It's not going to look very good on your part. So just making sure you're having a lot of communication with the teachers is really important. And that might be a little bit tricky because some of the teachers may not speak English very well, but just keep forcing yourself to ask them, even if it may seem awkward, even if it may seem like they don't really want to answer. It's probably because they're just not super comfortable speaking English. But also it's a good opportunity to even practice your Spanish if you've come to Spain and you want to learn Spanish. That's what I've done with some of the teachers. And it's kind of cool because some of the teachers want to just speak in Spanish, but then others want to improve their English, so you can kind of do a little bit of both. A tip for lesson planning is to make sure that you have different things going on. I would really recommend starting off with like a quick, short, like 5-minute review activity to maybe review vocabulary. So doing something so simple as Simon Says, the kids love it, to review different vocabulary. And whenever we do vocabulary, this is a tip for lesson planning too, and teaching English, we always make up gestures or movements with our body to remember our vocabulary words. So at the beginning of each class that you teach, you can review the vocabulary before you get into the activity that you want to do, because the kids need a short little review to get up, get moving before you start your lesson. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Those are really the main brief overall tips that I have. If you have any other questions, please leave them in the comments below and I will try to answer them. And if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe to my channel, because I have been showing kind of my life here, and you can go ahead and check out the other videos that I've done about when I moved to Madrid, how my first day of teaching went, and all of that stuff, because I've talked about my experience in a lot of videos that I've done, and I'm planning to do more day in my life type of videos where you can kind of see what it's like to be a language assistant in Spain, and kind of showing you guys Madrid more and all of that fun stuff. Yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!